All right, welcome to another class. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to work on clearing some of our energy field, and we're going to help with rebooting it. A lot of times in our lives, we take on a lot, and it has a toll on our nervous system. If you want to think of the nervous system is almost it's the engine that really drives our life. And the thing is that the older we get and the more complex or stressful certain experiences get in our life, what ends up happening is that sometimes our nervous system is not in a place where it has the capacity to handle what's going on. So what ends up happening is like if somebody was running a marathon, you need a very specific kind of shoe. And if you're not wearing the right shoes, you can ruin the entire sole and you won't have the support that your feet need. In life, as stress amounts, a lot of times what ends up happening is our body, right? The nervous system doesn't have that extension, the wherewithal to be able to handle everything that's going on. And for some of us, we'll be like, what's wrong with us? And it's just learning how to recalibrate. So the resting component of our experience is really, really important. In the newsletter that I shared this morning, part of what I talk about is the highs and lows in our intuition. When we talk about highs and lows, what I mean is, a lot of times people think of highs and lows as these high energy moments and then low energy moments. When they think of low energy moments, they think of them as negatives. When really, low energy moments are meant to relax. They're meant for restorative. They're meant when we're feeling down, right? And when I mean down, I don't necessarily mean depressed. I mean like less energy. It's always good to notice what we're attaching to it. For a lot of people, when they are feeling more low energy, they start thinking, oh, I need to feel depressed. This must be depression. This must be a negative. I'm down. I'm not as productive as I need to be. But really, it's really important to pay attention because that down, the low frequency is there for nourishment. It's there to help you recharge. It's there for the restorative aspect of things. And for a lot of us, we just get frustrated in those moments, and what ends up happening is we judge the moment harshly. So just pay attention to some of that as we kind of move through this. We're going to do a little bit of breath work now. We're going to start to just try to clear some of our frequency and our nervous system. And then we're going to kind of go deeper into the concept of intuition. So one thing about intuition, before we go into the breath work, is intuition is this really, really deep connection to yourself. Number one, an intuition is always kind. An intuition is never about a judgment. It's about kindness. Number two, sometimes we aren't sure what our intuition is because we are influenced more by the environment we live in than by our own personality. Okay, just notice wherever you are now, you can kind of start getting comfortable because we're going to go into some breath work now in a moment when I finish this thought. So the thing is that when we think about intuition, if you see somebody wearing expensive clothes, sometimes your intuition will override bad behavior, for example, and say, oh, well, this person is wearing something expensive. They must also be smart, right? We overassume. And I wrote a whole piece on this. And what's happening in that there's a newsletter, and I can add the link at some point if anyone's interested. But so basically what ends up happening in that moment is your intuition is intercepted by something outside of your intuition, which overrides what your actual intuition might be telling you. And what happens in nowadays is there is so much noise out there that sometimes we're unsure actually what we're feeling. This could be politically related, socially related. There are so many things that can impact the financial related. There's so many things that impact our relationship with our intuition. And we could think, oh, I'm not good at something, when it has nothing to do with if you're good at something or not. It just has to do with how is this being influenced? So when we kind of come back into our intuition, one of the first things when we want to connect on a deeper level with our intuition, one of the first things we need to do is first get to know the intuition on its own, which is retracting from some of the stuff that's going on around us, get connected with our own sensations, and ask ourselves from an intention perspective, right? Because our intention will tell us a lot about the authenticity of our intuition, right? So when we think, for example, if you think, sorry about this. Okay. If you think a negative thought, for example, about somebody or something, and you can say, oh, my intuition is telling me something negative. Number one, the intuition doesn't need to use negativity. The intuition is always a positive. When we think of negativity, there's a restriction, right? A lack of blood flow, a lack of, it kind of shortens the nervous system too, just like it shortens a muscle, right? Because if you kind of tighten one of your muscles and you flex, you're shortening and you're creating a lack of oxygen and flow. But when we relax and release, we're in a place where nothing can get stuck inside of us. So there's always a positive. So number one, intuition is usually never negative, and it's more of a proactive, and there's something that flows about it. So it more than it critiques, there's a proactive experience, and it comes from a place of allowance and flow. So coming back to the intention, when you have, let's say, a negative judgment on somebody or something, always ask yourself, well, what is my intention? And the intention will tell you a lot about why you would be operating that way, right? And then it will tell you if you are actually connected deeper with your intuition or not. So with that being said, we can kind of go into some of the breath work and clearing. And what I want you to do is just lean back into your chair. You can roll the shoulders back, just soften in the space that you are. And we're going to try to connect with that deepest part of ourself. So just noticing the crown above you, above your head. As you inhale through the nose and soften the jawline, a lot of you might be full from dinner. So just ask yourself if there is space for breath work. Inhale through the nose, begin to expand the belly. And exhale. Releasing anything that isn't serving you right now. Inhale again through the nose and draw light from the crown at the same point into kind of the air is coming through the nose and the light is coming from the crown. They kind of meet somewhere in the middle between the ears and kind of come into the body together. Begin to fill that space within you with light and oxygen. Move slow if you need. And then begin to exhale when you're ready and begin to clear. Inhale again through the nose. Bring that light in through crown into the heart center. Fill that mid space, like let that light ripple through the chest area. And slowly begin to exhale. This week we were a lot on intention. And I want you to just think about your day a minute, just if we were scanning through the day, and think about your favorite moment of the day. Now, don't start judging it. Just pick your favorite moment of the day. Ask yourself, how present were you in that experience? Ask yourself, were you able to be possibly a little bit more present? Intuitively, if you were more present, what would have happened? And for most of us, when we think of that, the thing that would happen if we were intuitively more present in that moment is we could allow more nurturing into our experience. Because what happens when there's that moment, that special moment, is that the sensations are there and available in our environment. So ask yourself technically, where were you? And if you can put yourself into, we're going to kind of work in it in a second, we're going to kind of try to reframe that moment because memories are things that we can recreate. They're not exactly what they are when they're made. It's our relationship with our memories that help formulate the memories themselves. So take another breath. Now that you're in a slower position, you don't have as much going on, you're not juggling as much. And go back to that moment and let's clear the space around that moment. We're going to take in oxygen through our nose and light through our crown and clear that space within us. Just notice how bright that space could be within you if you're allowing light and warmth and oxygen into your body. Notice how that feels. And then just notice, going back to that memory, that experience. If you got to go back and recreate that experience and make it matter more and be fully present as you are now, how would the quality of that nourishment shift? Notice where you feel it in your body. Notice where you feel it in your muscle skeleton. like in all the muscles around the bone. Notice the blood flow. Notice your personal relationship with it. Is there more positive? Is there more negative? Just notice what happens. Inhale through the nose. Fill that space. Expand. And exhale when you're ready. All right, how does that feel? If anyone has any feedback, feel free to either you can speak up or you can add a little voice memo. Nice. Okay. Thank you for that feedback. So this is like a little practice. This is a little practice that you can, especially now that we're working on intention, this is a real practice that you can do. And what happens is it's a proactive practice that can allow you to do this groundbreaking work for yourself. When we're able to reframe some of the stuff into a positive experience. And for any of you that might be still struggling with process, you have that saying that's there, the quote that I had, which is, it is safe to acknowledge and safe to allow to to release, sorry. Just notice where you are in that process and what you're able to let flow. Now, if anyone has anything that came up for them personally or any questions, like if this brought something else up for you, feel free to pop it in the chat. There's that private there's a private chat as well, so it can be a private question if you need. And if not, then we'll just do a little bit more breath work, kind of move through some more stuff in our body. So I'll just wait another 30 seconds. And if not, we'll continue. Okay. All right. So we'll continue. Okay. So just noticing where you are right now. Notice if what your nervous system needs today. Ask yourself if you can take one thing for yourself now, what would that be? No judgment, just what it is. The next thing you need to ask yourself is, when you're taking something for yourself, what is your relationship with that? And how do you take it in? How do you receive it? For some people, they take things with their hands first. For some people, they take in smell. They take it through their nose, the smell first. For some people, they take it in through a visual light. For some people, it's about feel and sensation. Just notice when you take what you need, where that sensation begins for you. And just continue to breathe into the space. Notice what that immediate experience is when you're receiving what it is that you need for yourself. Deep inhales through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And just sit with that energy for a minute. Notice how, when you need something, just notice how it travels through you. Just give yourself the permission to allow yourself to explore. Just acknowledge that you need whatever it is that you need. Deep breaths. Just visualize yourself receiving it, and almost like a battery that begins to recharge and fill up. Notice what fills first. What's that first component? So like from a battery, it starts at the bottom and it works its way up when we see that in a phone, but just notice for you where it starts. For some people, it's a heart center. You start at the middle and it expands all around. For some people, it starts from the ground up. For some people, they tend to consistently draw from the crown in. Are you receiving from in front of you, from the back? Just notice where it is that receptivity comes in. You have permission to clear any old beliefs about receiving, about nurturing. And you have permission here to explore and acknowledge that there is nurturing here ready and available for you. Just continue to align. Notice that receiving component, where that is. Is it possibly from one hand or the other? Just notice. And just take what you need, supported by breath. Just slow with your breath and just take it in. Just allow that nurturing to fill you. Inhaling through the nose, oxygen, and drawing light from above you as well. And into that heart center or anywhere that is your starting point. Notice where in your body is feeling that contentment. What part of you is ready to release and create space for some of this new nourishment? Yourself to relax into it. We're slowly gonna come back into this space. Slowly begin to open your eyes. You can move your fingers and toes. If you feel like you still need whatever it is that you need, just stay in that position. For the rest of you, I'd ask, how are you feeling? Your nervous system should be in a really calm space where you should have the ability to release. But if you don't, if you're not, feel free to be honest so I can continue to move certain things around. I think that this energy in this room so far, I feel like we're in a good place, but okay. Yes, that does definitely. Okay. So yeah, it's more of this gentle, yeah, open, relaxed, amazing. Yeah, it feels like fluffy cotton candy. That's incredible. it's supposed to feel sweet and positive. So as you move through, I would say drink some water. If you have some magnesium, feel free to, an Epsom salt bath is delicious. Um, if you do feel a little lightheaded, take, or you feel a little bit of a headache, drink water. So make sure that you get hydration. It's really, really important. You can say that sentence of I acknowledge, right? It's safe to acknowledge, it's safe to release. So they say that a few times and just notice where it is that you are feeling, if there is a little bit of tension, it might, if you say it a few times and really embed it into your body, it might allow whatever is kind of blocking to open and ease. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me for this experience. If anyone has any questions, feel free to